Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Thursday morning, 22nd day of May, 2025. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we're broadcasting at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening anywhere else on Earth, you've gone to our website to do that, streaming all the time from ksje.com. I also want to welcome our viewers this morning who are joining us. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. So glad that you are with us this morning, because coming up in the next few moments, my guest from the San Juan County Partnership, talking about a number of things the partnership is involved with, as usual, this morning. So stay tuned for that. We'll bring you details in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Then later on this hour, an extra segment for you as we talk about the Aztec Museum's latest events. One big event coming up to learn more about local history on site, and we'll give you details about that when we get to that segment at 8:50 a.m. right here on KSJE. Next hour, of course, it's classical music, Roving with the Arts with Mick Hess, beginning at 9:06. And don't forget, we invite you to connect with us on X and Instagram, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. And if you're a podcast person, you can subscribe for free to KSJE Podcasts. You'll find them at all these places where you're probably already listening to podcasts. So add us to the group and discover a new local program that you may have missed recently. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, we are expecting a mostly sunny day today. It starts on Wednesday. Actually, today's Thursday, so it's going to be 80 degrees today, 53 overnight, 83 with sunshine tomorrow, 80 on Saturday, sunshine, and 77 on Sunday, with overnight lows, as you can see, in the mid to lower 50s. Back with my guest from the San Juan County Partnership right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The caregivers of San Juan Regional Medical Center are committed to bettering the quality of life, health, and care of individuals, families, and our communities. Life is their sacred trust. Better is their mission. Here is their home. San Juan Regional Medical Center, improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910.
Ahead, turn right.
Isn't it nice to have a little help getting where you're going?
Your destination is ahead and 300 feet.
When navigating life's challenges, the San Juan County Navigation Center can help you with navigating housing, navigating transportation, navigating medical providers, and more. Learn more online at sjcnavigate.net or call 505-636-7110. The Navigation Center, connecting to resources, empowering lives.
You have arrived at your destination.
Back in Studio A with my guest this morning, as I mentioned, from the San Juan County Partnership. Always great to have her here in the studio with me. Anna Krutsky is here, Executive Director of the San Juan County Partnership. Good morning. Welcome back to KSJE.
Good morning, Scott. I'm really glad to be here.
Good to have you back, because there's a lot going on that, as always, as I said, that you all are involved with. And one of the things I wanted to start by asking you about is this health convening event that the partnership is, I guess, taking the lead on, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so part of our Health Council initiative is to bring the community together and to talk about what activities and focuses we are going to have in the coming year.
Okay.
Okay, so we have been really lucky to continue to receive funding for Health Council efforts. And as the Health Council for San Juan County, we are bringing the community together for a community health convening.
Okay.
Okay, so this is going to take place at the Civic Center on Thursday, so that's next Thursday.
Week from today.
A week from today, on May 29th from 9 a.m. to 1. We are going to be providing lunch,
Okay.
because that's the best part of bringing people together.
That helps get people to come together sometimes
Exactly.
too, sure.
So the topics that we are going to be covering are about data sharing, because
Right.
as we know, and I have shared historically, that the partnership does a lot of data collection and analyzing of data to understand what the needs of the community and what we should be focusing on.
Right. And that data comes from the community too.
It absolutely does come from the community. So we collect data ourselves, but we also analyze data that is collected by multiple other organizations. The Department of Health, UNM does a lot of data collection, and various other sources, which we always cite in all the data that we share.
Sure.
And looking at that and getting an understanding of what the community sees the needs are, and then how do we address those specific needs.
Okay.
So around health and health issues, we are going to be talking, doing some roundtable discussions on behavioral health, access to care, which is a continual need, and I'm guessing that probably will never go away.
Right.
In a rural community, and then housing solutions, which has been an initiative we've been talking about for a while.
Sure.
So those will be the three main topics that we will focus on. There will be some sharing of our community health improvement plan as well, and then just general discussions. So anybody who might be interested in participating in that, sharing their opinions, or just being part of a work group in any
Nice.
capacity,
Right.
are welcome to come.
Okay.
I think we have about 50 slots, and last I checked, we had filled about 30 of them, and so we had about 20 left.
Okay.
to
And you're
fill.
asking folks to RSVP, so they have a
Yes.
spot reserved, and you have a lunch for them and all those things, right?
So if you look at the flyer that we have posted, there is an RSVP jot form that you can fill out. And once we have filled, I think 50 to 55 slots, we will be closing.
Gotcha. Very good. So that's
Yeah.
on the screen right now for our video viewers. If you're a radio listener, if you contact the San Juan County Partnership, I'm sure they can put you down
Absolutely.
for a spot. And again, this is a free
This
event
is
because
free.
they kind of want your opinions as to
Yes.
what's going on.
Yes.
So-
And lunch, I just found out yesterday, will be a fajita bar from Clancy's.
Okay.
So that's always a treat.
There you go. So there you go.
A little
They say there's
incentive.
no such thing as a free lunch, but this
This
proves
is a free
otherwise.
lunch.
That's right.
Exactly.
So, but there you go.
Yeah.
But you really want to get folks' opinions, and so if folks really have some thoughts, or if they've been involved with the healthcare industry, positive or negative, I
Yes.
imagine you'd be open to hearing their experiences.
Yes, absolutely. Hearing experiences, and then really doing some brainstorming about how do we access
Right.
these services, and what are some of the barriers, and moving forward over the next year, how can we address some of those barriers?
Sure, because things are very different for a patient who lives maybe in Farmington as opposed to someone who lives maybe south of Bloomfield.
Correct.
So very
Yes.
different situations, perhaps.
Exactly,
And so
exactly.
that's kind of what you
Yes.
are looking at and wanting to
Yes.
discuss
Yeah.
and hear about. And with this information, what are you going to do with that? That will help you, I guess, determine maybe some of your goals or some of your where to put some of your resources or efforts in the years to come.
Yes, exactly. So every year, the Department of Health and the Health Alliance community at the state level give us some focuses that they want us to look at.
Got it.
And right now, behavioral health is one of the top issues that have been identified across the state, and is certainly one of the top issues that we have identified locally in doing our needs assessment. And so it's we all know, well, maybe not everybody, but one of the things that many of us have identified is that we struggle with the number of providers. So that was one of the things that we will be looking at. How do we entice more providers to come to the community? How do we find out who they are? Continual work to make sure that the providers that are available and working within the county are accessible.
Right.
Websites.
If they're not
phone
accepting new
numbers
patients, they're not very accessible.
Exactly. So
Right.
who is accepting new patients? Who is out there? Are there new people coming into the community? How can we let people know who they are, what they're doing, and how can we support them in taking on the needs that exist?
Gotcha.
So that's going to be one of our top focuses.
Sure.
But yes, so identifying and going through the Department of Health's process in understanding what are our needs for our community specifically, what are the needs, for the state, and how do we figure out how to address those and actually make a difference, and not just talking about it, but what can we do?
Sure.
I mean, there's certain things that are really, really hard. So lack of providers is one, but maybe it's just doing a lot more marketing. I know that the hospital is doing a ton of work to increase bringing providers to the community. Presbyterian Medical Services is doing a lot of work to try to bring more providers to the community. A lot of other behavioral health organizations, smaller ones, are also working on that. How
Right.
can we entice more providers? In the behavioral health world specifically.
Sure.
Yes, we need medical providers as well, but behavioral health is the one that I'm focusing on right now, because that seems to be there's just the waiting lists are just too long right now for who we have. So how are we gonna address some of that?
Right.
You
And
know?
I guess that could be overwhelming for the folks who are here providing that service when they say you've got
Absolutely.
another full day of patients and another full day of patients and another full day of patients, which is great that they're providing that service, but it's hard with the limited supply that we have of
The
these
limited
providers
supply.
and these
Exactly.
therapists.
Exactly. Yeah.
So makes sense. And I guess too, when you go to ask the state or apply for some of the grants that the San Juan County Partnership applies for and the Health Council, I imagine it comes with a bit more weight to have a document maybe from a convening like this behind it to say, we asked our community and here's what they said, and that's why we're asking for this money for this particular
Absolutely.
problem or
Yes.
challenge that we're facing.
Yes, people's voices and experiences and stories are incredibly important in gaining access to more supports. It really makes a difference. Having your voice, having your story that we can share to let people know who might have funding and have ideas about how we can do this make
Right.
a huge difference.
Sure.
So absolutely.
Because they're deciding where to spend that money or grant that money, and you
Yes.
can say, this is what we heard from our community. If
Yes.
you grant us money for this particular use, we can pretty much guarantee that there's a need, because here's what they said.
Yes.
Our citizens.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Got it.
So have your voice heard.
there you go. All right. It is next Thursday. Again, the Community Health Convening, hosted by the San Juan Health Council and the San Juan County Partnership. Regular listeners of this program have heard from both organizations. The Health Council has a regular spot here, as well as the San Juan County Partnership, which is what we're using right now and talking to Anna Krutsky about. Next Thursday, again, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch is provided at the Farmington Civic Center. You just need to call or go online and reserve your spot. There's about 20 spots left.
Correct.
Or maybe by now, 10 spots
Maybe
left.
not- yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
But there you go. Good luck with that.
Thank you so
It'll be
much.
exciting to hear what comes up and what is discussed by the participants of this
Yeah,
event.
I'm really excited. And also during lunch and after, it's always a great opportunity for networking for anybody who's interested.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, too, is some of the work, and you mentioned it here, that you'll talk about this at the convening next week, is housing.
Yes.
That's always an issue, it seems, here
Yes.
and everywhere.
Absolutely.
Actually, it's not a problem unique to San Juan County, but affordable housing, housing assistance, how to get folks maybe from, having unstable or who are unhoused into some type of affordable, stable housing situation, especially families or with people with young kids.
Absolutely.
A big issue.
Yes. Housing feels a little overwhelming. It is a big issue right now. It is a concern. You know, when people are housed, they are able to take care of most of their other needs. And when you're unhoused, just being in survival mode, everything is amplified. Everything is more difficult. So one of the things that's really exciting for the partnership is that we just hired a new housing assistance supervisor. Her name is Sherry Floyd. She is a pretty well-known community member and an advocate of people who are struggling, and has done an incredible amount of amazing work to support people in being housed. She is a board member of the PATH, and I love that our community is able to share a lot of different volunteer responsibilities across the community in a variety of ways.
Nice.
So that's just one element of what she does, but she is bringing a lot of expertise, experience, and passion for housing assistance to our organization. And currently we have we are at the end of coming to the end of our fiscal year, which ends June 30th.
Right.
And so right now we have 8 new grants. Some of those are repeating that are specific to housing assistance that will be starting on July 1st. And we do currently have funding right now for rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. So those particular services are for people who may be at imminent risk of losing their housing. So maybe they've lost their job, or there was an illness and haven't been able to get to work. And they have received a 3-day notice. And I know that sounds really scary to receive a 3-day notice, but oftentimes, if that happens, the partnership has funding that can pay for up to 6 months before 6 months of rent that may be past due.
I see.
So
okay.
It's arrears.
To stay where you are, then, I guess.
To
get
stay where you
you in
are.
better graces with your landlord.
Exactly. So get that covered, and then up to 3 to 6 months, depending on how much money, of moving forward.
Gotcha.
So basically, it gives you an opportunity to get back on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we will support you with resources. We will help you get to appointments. And we can help you work with your landlord if there's been some issues happening. In that support, we can often help with electricity and water or gas that may be late or that you are unable to maybe have turned on, that has been turned off with some late fees.
Maybe a deposit or something, if
And
that's
some-
what's needed to get
Yes.
it back on or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. So we do have funding for that right now. I mean, there definitely are a lot of rules around who is eligible for
Sure,
that.
of course.
You have to share with us your income and bank statements, your residency, things of that nature. But you can certainly always call our offices and make an appointment,
Right.
or just check and see if you're eligible. And I can give a phone number
Yeah,
for
please
that.
do.
That would
Yes.
be helpful.
Yeah,
So
it would.
505-325-4214.
Okay.
So again, 505-325-4214, and that will bring you to our housing offices. If you receive a voicemail message, please leave a message and we will get back to you.
Because I know that, at least in the past, for folks to come in and register or talk to the housing folks, it's not every day. It's certain days of the week at certain times because it's just a big job.
It's a big job. We have 4 people working in our housing assistance program offices. Most of those folks have a very specific role, and a lot of times we have people out in the field because we do inspections. Every apartment that we pay rent for, we have to do an inspection, and that
Has to meet certain standards for
It
HUD
has to
and
meet
the
certain
other
standards.
parts of the program, I guess, right?
You got it. Yeah. So HUD has very strict rules. You have to have a carbon monoxide detector. You have to have working smoke detectors. All of your outlets need to be working. You cannot have broken doors or windows. There has to be 2 exits. Oh, there has to be a fan in the bathroom.
Okay, an exhaust fan, sure.
Exhaust
Okay,
fan.
gotcha.
Your appliances all need to be functioning. So your
Okay.
cook stove, your refrigerator. If there's a dishwasher in the home, it has to be functioning.
Okay.
So if there's an appliance that is not working in the home, that unit would not pass inspection.
You can't use it in your program.
Correct.
Somebody can still rent
Right.
it to somebody, but
Yes.
not in your
Right.
program. Got
Right.
it. And a lot of those things make sense to me of a place where I'd want to live to have all these standards and these things, but there are units out there that don't.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
so
there are
that's
a
important to check.
lot- Yes, it is important to check. We will work with landlords and
Mm-hmm.
help them with an understanding of what needs to be fixed. Sometimes we have resources that can help with landlords fix things.
Okay.
I have applied for funding that I am super excited about, that I am hopeful. So I
Okay.
don't have it yet, hopefully starting in July, which would support landlords in being able to access funding if they take a voucher holder from us. They can possibly receive funding to do fixes.
Got it.
So that could be updating flooring. It could be buying new appliances. I think it's $25,000 per unit.
Oh, okay.
It cannot be used for older trailers. I think before 1978.
Okay, that's
So
one of the
it has to-
limitations,
yeah.
but other than
So
that,
that is one of the limitations.
Okay.
So once we know for sure this is that this is happening, we will do a lot more information.
Gotcha.
And this is a pilot program from Housing New Mexico.
Okay.
That
So a
they
state
are working
program.
on. It is a statewide program, and we are one of 3 organizations across the state that will be piloting this and seeing if we can't increase inventory.
Right.
Because one of the biggest concerns we have across the state, in our community and across the country, is just that we have fewer units for low-income housing than we ever have before. And so that makes that becomes challenging.
sure. So if I'm a landlord listening to you this morning,
Yes.
I may make a note on my calendar to reach out around July
Around
1st.
July 1st, yeah.
To see about these funds,
Yes.
and if I've got rental units that could use a little refresh,
Yes.
maybe I would
to
want to
bring
talk
them
to you.
up to code.
Right.
If they're
It's
already
not just
up
a coat of
code,
paint.
It's not
It's
just a
gonna
coat
have
of
to be
paint.
more than that.
Exactly.
But
Right.
25,000, if that's what the amount is,
Yes.
could certainly help
Right.
a lot of those situations, I would think.
Yes,
So-
but you would have to have take one of the voucher holders that we are working with
Sure.
in order to receive that funding, and you'd have to keep them within that unit, or somebody with a voucher holder for at least 2 years,
Okay.
in order to not have to pay that back.
Got
So
it.
more to come on that.
Okay.
I'm really excited, and I'm really excited that the state is actually looking at some very specific. What can we do right now to increase some of the inventory? Building
Yeah.
would be great, and I know there's a bunch of initiatives out there that people are beginning to talk about, and I don't have details on possibly building
New construction of
new
apartment buildings or
construction.
what have
Exactly,
you, right?
which is
Or-
a whole nother ballgame. And
that won't happen immediately. That would be a couple
No.
of years out,
That is
or
a
18 months out.
I was going to say that's a 2 to 5 year
Yeah.
activity, and so I know that there's a lot of groups looking for that. And as we learn more, we will certainly keep people informed about what that looks like.
Sure.
And we're always hopeful, and we're always looking for people who just have a really big hearts, who want to bring more funding and increase housing inventory within our community.
Exactly. Well, and again, those landlords that maybe have some units that want to work with you with these programs and accept these folks into their rentals to be able to get them, as you said, in a more stable environment, because once they have stable housing, they can work on some of the other things that are going on in their lives, whatever it might be, whether it's find a job or get the kids back in school or lots of things, I'm sure. So
Absolutely.
that's important.
Yeah. And
Nice.
then, yeah.
You've got a truancy program too
I
that you
do.
are working on,
Yeah.
and even though kids are almost out of school,
Yes.
that is still something that the partnership has been working on with the county, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we received some funding through San Juan County specifically to really address the truancy concerns that we are seeing. So since COVID hit, we've had a real problem with absenteeism,
Okay.
which has not seemed to have gotten a whole lot better. So one of the things that we are looking at are, what are the reasons for this, and how can we address those? So this is a pretty intensive short-term, 18-month program.
Okay.
And so what we've done to date is we have met with all of the 4 school districts across the county. in some capacity, and just trying to gather information about what are you doing now, what's working, what do you need. And so one of the first things that we've identified is bringing a task force together. And I guess at one point there was one where people came together from all the school districts. So we've started facilitating. We've had one meeting to date because, as you said, school is going to be out soon. So we wanted to try to tackle as much of this before school got out as possible. So this task force is on Zoom. So you don't have to travel, and it is for school personnel. I think we had 13 people on our first meeting, and we are bringing all the school districts together to talk about how they can support each other. What is each school district doing right now that's successful? What are some of the problems that maybe they can hear from other districts about what they could do that is working, and what we also have found is that there's a lot of movement of kiddos and families from one district to another.
Sure.
And the schools don't always know the story of those kiddos or those families. And this is an opportunity to maybe get in front of some problems that may be happening. Maybe a child has an IEP or several, and they're really struggling with just some basics within the school that they're in, but they're moving to a new one. And before problems start, maybe they can get ahead of that.
Right.
So this is an opportunity for schools to talk to each other.
Gotcha.
So the next meeting will be, and this is, it's within the school districts themselves, will be in July. I think it's at the very end of July before school starts, and then we'll have something monthly and regular through the school year.
And you said this is about a year and a half
This
effort?
is about a year and a half effort, so that's just one piece. We're also going to be working on building a media campaign over the summer to entice families in enrolling kiddos in school and to remind kids of the importance of education. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. That really came out of Farmington schools. So it's really going to be Farmington focused, but we're going to work on a social media campaign and maybe doing some billboards, print material, and lots of different ways. We're just in the beginning phases of this.
Gotcha. Okay.
And trying to educate the community in general about the importance of education and really focusing on from a positive norms perspective. And this is what is really happening, and these are the benefits, and that most kids and most families are sending their kids to school, and most kids want to go to school, and then so, so task force, media campaign, and then doing some direct service work. So we've started doing some direct counseling with individuals and putting some groups together in Newcomb currently, where there are fewer resources than other parts of the county. And we're going to be working on doing some individual case management with families as well.
But you said
homes.
In-home visiting kind of thing, right?
Work.
And you said that you've gotten participation, and all 4 local school districts are taking part in this initiative. So this is countywide.
This is countywide.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Very good. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
And exciting. And again, I think this kind of goes back to our other conversation about housing too, because obviously if someone is unhoused or they're traveling or trying to find a place to live, they may be going to the different communities as their situation evolves and changes, and that means kids are going from school to school to school.
Right. So housing becomes a priority, school maybe not so much of a priority when we're doing that kind of thing, and that becomes its own issue. Yeah.
Very true. Okay. Very good. Just a couple minutes remaining this morning, Anna Krutsky, but you're doing some more trainings, of course, with the San Juan County Partnership as well, and some of those things are ongoing over the summer?
Absolutely. So we will continue to offer Narcan training to any individual or organization within the community. Give us a call or go right onto our website. You can find all of our phone numbers and emails, and that's sjcpartnership.org.
Okay. Narcan, again, is that amazing treatment for opioid overdoses and things that can be applied. That's the brand name. There's another name for it. as well.
Naloxone,
Thank
correct.
you. But either one works, and the training
Right.
is the same for both.
The training is the same for both. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is to prevent overdose.
Right.
And we will also let you know who other organizations in the community who are offering these services as well. But yes, we currently do Narcan training, and we are doing stigma training. And again, we can do that with groups of community members. We could always do one at our office if people are interested, or other organizations for providers. Really about the stigmas associated with substance use and behavioral health or mental
Gotcha.
health issues. So those are our two big ones. Obviously, we are still doing, I shouldn't say obvious, not everybody knows, but we are still doing vaping education for educators and youth.
Right.
So I think we've blanketed the community pretty well, but that is still an offering. We just did Narcan training with, around naloxone, Narcan training, stigma training, and vaping education with the staff of the Boys and Girls Clubs of San Juan County.
Nice.
Yesterday.
Okay.
And so Julie Smith and Amanda Evans facilitated those, and we are trying to get as many people educated on those particular topics as we can.
Very good. Well, for regular viewers of this program, it is obvious, but if they're not, and this has been shared to someone who is new, it's worth understanding all the work that the San Juan County Partnership does, and some of the trainings and the other things that you're involved with. And we've just kind of scratched the surface. There's much more that we have talked about in the past, and we'll be talking about in the future. But it's exciting to hear about all the opportunities and the things that the partnership does to give back to the community, and also hear from the community about what are the concerns, what's going on, what's keeping us from being the best that we can be, and how to get there. So
Absolutely.
that's a lot of the work that you do, and your
is.
colleagues and your staff. So
Yes.
thank you for sharing it with me this morning. Always great to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much. Anna Krutsky, the Executive Director of the San Juan County Partnership, my guest this morning here on KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.